When Elizabeth Smart was abducted in Utah, her dad, Ed Smart, is a part of an organization called Operation Underground Railroad that is a bunch of ex-Navy SEAL, special ops kind of guys who they have teams they send into these different countries to infiltrate these sex trafficking rings, and they bust them up and get the children, and adults out. Ed Smart works for them. His job is to find places to put the children. And so Ed doesn't know, Ed knows some about, what the care protocol is, but he partners with us. I've been with him to Mexico. We're about to go to Thailand, other places around the world where they're doing these rescues to go in to help vet local organizations for them to come and go. But he's going to be on the radiothon, not telling his daughter's story, but that's where everybody knows him. He's on Fox News all the time, and then he'll be talking about our collaboration with Operation Underground Railroad. Well, it's a huge problem. I can't remember the total number. There's something like 300,000 women and children who are being trafficked in the United States. I think that's it. It might, and don't quote me on that, because it may be 2 million. Both those numbers are in my head. But I do know this is true. If a child runs away from home, within 72 hours of being on the road, they will have been contacted by a sex trafficker. They have a way to identify them, to offer to help them, and next thing you know, they're off the grid and they're being held somewhere as a sex slave. And it goes on. The big cities are the big hubs for it. Jackson is a big hub for it in Mississippi, Tupelo, down the coast. And we do a lot of work in Tennessee, where Memphis and Knoxville and Nashville is the area that we work primarily in, has a ton of that goes on. But it's a huge problem worldwide, and people don't think that too much about it. Most of them they say, well, the girl's just a prostitute. She's made a life choice. Well, a lot of the people that are being arrested as being prostitutes or for other crimes, they're really being trafficked, and they're afraid to rat out their pimp because the pimp is threatened to kill their family. They know where they live, and all that's very real. And the trafficking that's going on, there are a lot of different ways that trafficking takes place, but the two primary ones are, one, through the traditional pimp network, these guys that find these girls that they hold, and or they have to earn so much money for him a day. The other is gang related. A lot of the gangs that have been trafficking drugs have found out that it's a lot easier to traffic something that they don't have to replace. You can sell a drug once, you can sell a woman or a young boy over and over and over. And so gangs have gotten into the trafficking space as well. It's a lot more violent, in that situation, but it's a huge problem. And in the United States, there are only 2,000 beds available for children who have been trafficked. And of those 2,000 beds, none of those are for little boys. They're all for girls. And I think about 30% of the children that are trafficked are boys. So it's a big need. It's a space that we're beginning to work into. We're part of the Mississippi Governor's Task Force on Sex Trafficking here, so we're happy to be a part of helping with this problem in the state. Yeah, and then a lot of them are held there they have to keep them on drugs, and so they're heavily, once you get a child out, before they can even come to a place like Palm Run, they have to have all their medical needs taken care of, from being detoxed to, seeing what kind of problems physically they have from all the sexual encounters and the beating and all that. And they're either held by brute force of the threats of beatings or violence against their family, or they just keep them, so doped up so they really can't do much. And then they move them around. They're always staying ahead of the police. So they move them from Atlanta, Chattanooga, Nashville, Birmingham, and then just start making the circuit around, but that's kind of how they do.